Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving into something that's, well, absolutely essential for any research project. We're talking about how to take that huge pile of raw data you've collected and turn it into clear, powerful, and meaningful findings. So let's be real. You've put in the hours, you've sent out all the surveys, and now you're just staring at a spreadsheet full of answers. It's that moment, right? That moment where you think, okay, so what on earth do I do with all of this now? I want you to think about your data in a new way. Imagine it's just a giant, messy pile of Lego bricks. Right now, it's just chaos. But data analysis, that's the part where we get to be creative. It's how we sort through the bricks, find the right pieces, and start building something that actually tells a story. All right, so before we can start building, we have to know what we're working with. This first part is all about understanding the fundamentals. How to uncover that hidden story that your data is just waiting to tell. Let's just quickly get on the same page with some terms. The data. That's easy. It's just all the raw answers you got. Analysis is the really cool part. It's the process, the hunt for patterns and meaning. And findings? Well, those are the final confident conclusions you can actually present. See? Without analysis, you just can't get to those findings.
First up, let's look at one of the most powerful tools in your toolkit, quantitative analysis. This is all about making the numbers talk, and it's perfect for survey data, especially when you're using some kind of rating scale.
And speaking of rating scales, I'm sure you've seen this 1,000 times. It's the classic 5-point Likert scale. It's so useful because it lets us take something subjective, like an opinion, and turn it into a number that we can actually work with.
Okay, so let's walk through a real-world example. Imagine you're in IT, and you've just rolled out a new system. You ask your users to rate a simple statement. The system is easy to use.
And boom, here are your results from 35 people. As you can see, the responses are kind of all over the map. You've got 10 people who strongly agree, 15 who agree, a few who are neutral, a couple even disagree. Right now, this is just a jumble of numbers. How in the world do you summarize this mess?
Well, believe it or not, we can boil all of that scattered feedback down into one single powerful number. We do this by calculating something called the weighted mean. All that really means is that we're giving more weight to the answers that people chose most often. And when we run the numbers for our data, we get this, 3.80. But what does that even mean?
This is where the magic happens. We use an interpretation guide like this one. We take our number, 3.80, and we see where it lands. And look at that. It falls right in the middle of the range for agree. Just like that, 3.80 isn't just a random number anymore. It's an answer.
And that brings us to our final finding. We took a mess of 35 different opinions and transformed it into one clear, simple statement. You can now say with confidence that, overall, your users agree that the system is easy to use. Now that is the power of quantitative analysis.
But of course, numbers don't tell the whole story, do they? What about those open-ended questions where people pour out their actual thoughts and feelings? For that, we need a totally different tool, qualitative analysis. It's all about finding themes in text.
Now, this might sound intimidating, but I promise you, it breaks down into a pretty simple 4-step process. First, you just read everything to get a feel for it. Then, you assign little labels to the key ideas. That's called coding. After that, you group similar labels into bigger themes. And finally, you just write up the story those themes are telling you. Let's make this real. Here's some actual feedback. One person says the system is fast to use, so we code that with the label good performance. Someone else says it lags, so that gets the code performance issue. Another mentions an error when they log in. We'll call that system error. See? We're just attaching simple, descriptive labels to the core ideas.
And here comes the aha moment. We take all those little codes we made and we start to group them. Good performance and performance issue are obviously both about the same big idea, system performance. Usability is all about the user experience, system error. That fits perfectly under system reliability. And just like that, the big picture starts to come into focus.
So, what's the story the data is telling us here? Well, the main theme is clearly about system performance. You've got both good and bad comments about speed and lag. There's also a really positive thread about the user experience. But we also have a small but super important theme about system reliability. We found the narrative hidden in the text.
So now we have our two amazing tool sets, one for numbers and one for text. But the real magic, The part that matters most is when you put them together to go from just having data to making actual, informed decisions.
You can think of it like this. Quantitative analysis gives you the what. It measures things. It told us that users agree the system is easy to use. But qualitative analysis, that gives you the why. It explains why they find it easy, with comments about the simple interface. They really are just two sides of the exact same story.
And that right there brings us to the single most important idea I want you to take away from this. Your job as a researcher isn't to be a human calculator. It's to be a storyteller. It's to take all the numbers and all the text and explain in plain language what it all really means.
So now it's over to you. Your data is sitting there, and I promise you it's ready to talk. The question isn't if it has a story to tell. The real question is, what's the first thing you're going to ask it to get that story started? Thanks so much for tuning in.